So you said Fuel EU. Could you maybe elaborate a bit more on like that? So we said all of a sudden now we have targets for the fleets.
Yeah.
What else? Is it also because we talked about the supply side? Is that also covered by the Fuel EU?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that a law, or is that what is Fuel EU?
So if you think about Fuel EU as a regulation, right, it's targeting the fuel mix of vessels and fleet of shipping companies. Shipping companies is defined as the company that holds the control of the ship.
Okay.
So the commercial operator or the GOC holder of a ship, right? Okay, and what does this company needs to do? It needs to prove reduction of the emission intensity of the vessel compared to the previous year.
Yeah.
And then that percentage of increases incrementally.
Yeah.
And how we do that, again, as I mentioned, is by changing the fuel mix of the fleet. But also the very interesting thing about Fuel EU is it allows a pooling mechanism. So let's say as a shipping company, I control 10 ships. I can lower the emission intensity of my 10 ships to comply with the decarbonization target.
Yeah.
Or I can have, let's say, my 9 ships running the same way as they were the previous year, and retrofit one of my vessel's auxiliary engine to be able to run on alternative fuel, run it on LNG or on e-ammonia, it's probably too expensive, but LNG, we can, LNG is controversial, but it does create compliance to some extent. Have this, and then
why is it controversial, Kristy?
because LNG actually, it's true that LNG reduces the CO2, but it has methane slips which are very dangerous for the environment. So in terms of GHG emissions, it's not great, even though in terms of CO2 it does reduce.
So that's a bit of a case where you live up to the regulations, but you're not really helping the climate.
Exactly.
So it becomes more of a paper sort of.
But we can see that LNG is going to take a big part in the fuel mix, at least until 2035. So until
because of supply.
Yes, and until we have more cost attractive and viable fuel alternatives. So that the pooling mechanism is very interesting, and you can actually, if you have created a surplus of compliance for 1 year, you can save that, bank it, and use it the next year, or you can sell actually that extra compliance to another pool of vessels.
Fantastic.
So we have a really interesting, pooling mechanism and trading mechanism that is going to happen between shipping companies. It's not very clear yet in practice how this is going to be implemented within the operating system of shipping companies, but everyone is working really hard to unpack that.